Hi, I'm Dr. Cindy Orsburn, and I'd like to take you along for an overview of my EdTech Marathon at Boise State University online. I live in Peoria, Arizona, a northwestern suburb of Phoenix, and I presently am teaching 4th grade at Legend Springs Elementary in Glendale, Arizona. My present career goal is to teach social studies next year in 6th grade using my new technology skills. My longer-term goal is to find funding to allow our STEP school to employ me as a full-time technology teacher. We have an outstanding school, dedicated faculty, and about 40% of our students are there on open enrollment. Our teachers are just beginning to bring technology into their classroom, and I want to be part of growing their technology use and giving our students a proper 21st century education. My first experience using computers began when I was in optometry school at NSUCO. Mostly we were learning to use spreadsheets and keep patient records online. I didn't actually enroll in this course, but my friends did, and I spent enough time helping them figure out their programming problems in DOS that I became intrigued with computers. My EdTech marathon actually started in the 1990s when I got my first computer, a Mac, from my husband as a gift. We had a small consulting firm that worked in industry, and I worked part-time as the program and material designer for our firm. I had started doing this type of work when we were still using press type and an IBM Selectric typewriter. My primary job at that time was working as an optometrist, and eventually I became tired of asking, which is better, one or two in a dark room? I was having such a good time on my computer that I decided to return to school and got a degree in computer information systems at what is now known as DeVry University. I was disappointed in the training at DeVry, but I graduated and worked briefly at NDC Health in a division that did pharmaceutical company research. I was using a mainframe, learning SAS, and mostly programming in JCL or COBOL. I had really wanted to go into website design, but DeVry didn't really have competent instruction in that area, so I gave up that dream. I was not happy working in a cubicle, so I left when the opportunity presented itself and decided to go back to my original field of study, which had been elementary education. At that time, Arizona was growing like crazy because of the migration of people from California and Mexico. I was recertified through a post-bac program at ASU. I figured this could be a good pre-retirement job for me, and I could share my lifetime love of learning with my students. I started back into teaching in 2002. We had limited technology tools at the time, and I was teaching a group of students who had grown up with technology. I bought a digital projector to use in my class and then a digital camera. We spent more time in the computer lab, and I spent more time creating PowerPoints. I had such limited, out-of-date resources, especially for science and social studies. My coursework at ASU taught me to use the internet as a way to provide my students with better information. It was so much more engaging for them. This led to a document camera, and we finally got laptop carts. The more I used technology, the more the kids wanted to keep using it. My husband was watching 60 Minutes, and he told me about a show on millennials. He thought I would really enjoy it, as it sounded like they were describing my school kids. So I went to CBS website and watched the program. I was aware of the engagement that occurred when I taught with technology, and I thought this must be the wave of the future for teaching. I did a lot of research into millennials and educating students for the 21st century. By this time, I could not imagine not having a computer, and I set off to find a program to learn more. I tried one class online, but it was awful, expensive, and all we did was research papers and write citations. I knew I needed another college degree like a hole in the head, but I wanted practical experience that I could use. Then I happened to read about Boise State University online. The 2-track master's degree seemed just like the education that I was looking for. I talked my dad into funding me because he could use the tax deduction, I could use the money, and I was hoping to raise my school salary about $10,000 a year with the degree. My first course at Boise State was 501. And Introduction to Educational Technology. I learned about what educational technology involved and wrote a paper exploring the digital divide. I also researched and wrote a paper entitled The Benefits of Technology as a Learning Tool in the Classroom. The paper reinforced my notion that the teacher needs training to use technology effectively and also needs to have a role change from the transmitter of knowledge to the facilitator of learning. The benefits of technology to education include higher level thinking skills, flexibility, collaboration, engagement, and achievement. My second course was 502, which I took concurrently with 501. I thought it was a challenge when I created my local root folder on my computer desktop that first semester. Thank goodness I had some programming background when I took 502, or I could have been scared away. I worked so hard on that course, and when I look back now on my projects, while I can see how they are less sophisticated than what I can create now, there is still a sense of pride in them. I had to work very hard in all of my courses because I was still teaching school as my day job. But I was excited and I never looked back. In all honesty, 503 was not my favorite course. I had previously taken a similar course to this and found the methods that I learned in that class more direct and not as time-consuming. I would like to see other opportunities for project design and management other than just the Dick and Carey model. I spent so much time researching what I needed to know to complete my project, and this model doesn't present a format that is time or economically feasible for teachers. My husband and I created products for industry whose pockets are deep, and even for them, this would be very slow and costly. Teachers really are more likely to be able to use rapid prototyping or ADDIE. I did learn some new information about learning in 504, but I am more of a hands-on kind of learner and less interested in professional research writing in APA format. I came to Boise State because they offered 2 tracks, one for people who want to get a doctorate and teach in college, and one for people who want practical information and experiences that they can put to use immediately. I fall into the latter category. The degree was not as important to me as the knowledge, and I have reached the point in my life where I want to either use it or lose it. I found ways to make 505 a useful experience. I did my research into a new problem-solving program called Thinking Blocks, and it had a good impact on my students' learning when they actually used it. Weird problems are a lower scoring area on our AIMS testing. This program and Singapore Math use an approach that I like and it is effective, but my students try to avoid the extra writing and thinking. It is frustrating to find something that works and not have students use it. One of my last courses was 506, and I turned out one of my best projects in this class. I made up my own background and page layout for the slideshow. I used what I was learning in class to produce my project. My kids loved it. We used small sections of the program to supplement our FOSS kits, and it did give the students a much better information base. I also put in connections to smartboard activities and other resources. I learned so much about how to set up my projects to support learning, from font to color to page layout. I wish this had not been one of my last classes. I found 511 to be somewhat frustrating. It really should be more than 1 semester long. I didn't learn enough programming language in Flash to produce what I can envision in my mind. I had a good plan for a learning unit and my instructor was very helpful, but I didn't have enough time to do more than get my feet wet. There was such a range of ability in the class that it turned out to be more frustrating than fulfilling. I did plan out a neat final project and hopefully will finish it over the summer. I kept 512 in my portfolio because I was working on an online class. I really wanted to earn a core area in online learning because that is where I think education is going. And I would love to work at home in my sweats. I had not counted on how exhausting knee replacement surgery and rehab would be. I was learning quite a bit about course design, but I just ran out of steam and had to withdraw. EdTech 513 made me think a lot about what I do and don't need in my learning programs. I was always a more is better person because I am a strongly visual learner and I like a lot on my plate. I still am not completely convinced that everyone's brain has the same short-term memory limits, but I worked at modifying my work to fit what I learned about. I think I can put out less complicated visual images and do more narrating in my programs, but I can put my extras out there in handouts. EdTech 521 was my opportunity to churn out some programs I could use in school. They had been out on the internet in a video format, but some of the timing I built in didn't interface well with the hyperlinks in my program to other sites, so I will rework them in Camtasia. I want to revamp the bullying program. It needs to be more fun and needs more graphics to appeal to children. At the time, I wanted a more serious tone, but I have since then changed my mind. EdTech 533 was taken because I was hoping my school district would one day let us use YouTube, and they did, just this past March. YouTube is the best for videos, and there is so much good stuff out there that I wanted to use in my class. I am frustrated that my quiz on Euler's graphs needs revised because of changes in YouTube. But I learned quite a lot in this course and hope in the future that my students may be allowed to use it also. We could have a blast and learn so much about making and posting videos. My hands-down favorite class was 541. I worked so hard and learned so much, it was fun. I think this is how I am meant to teach. I just had a great time perusing all these resources and blending them into something that my students love. I'm going to be teaching ancient civilizations and social studies next year, and I can't wait to put together something like this for Egypt, China, Rome, and Greece. However, this time, I want my students to be part of the creating process. It should be a blast. I have learned so much over the last few years. I've learned to loosen up and trust my group when I work online. As a recovering perfectionist, I have had to give up more control than ever before. And to my surprise, I've only had one bad experience. It wasn't at Boise State, and the real problem was the instructor more so than the other students. I think it is important to have taken classes online if you plan to teach online. It gives you the experience of knowing how professional and courteous you need to be when you can only communicate through the computer. I originally hated group work, as I like to be responsible for my own work and grades. But you need to create a sense of community in your classroom, and you both give and get input from other students. Schedules and directions need to be very clear and concise, and a special thank you to Annie Hung, who made some videos just for me to help me along with my final Flash project. My courses have been so well planned and what I needed to do so clear that I have learned how to do that for my own students. I would like to suggest that students start writing their rationales as they go along in their program. I started seeing this the last few semesters, and I wish I had done it myself. I am amazed at how some of the software has progressed over 10 years. Dreamweaver anticipates your next step in coding, and it eliminates some of the tediousness of writing code. I felt so powerful when I finished 502, because that was what I had wanted to learn how to do when I went to DeVry. They pretended to be able to teach you current programming skills, and the faculty was trying to learn the program as they taught you. I truly felt that I always had competent instructors for my classes here at Boise. The courses are well designed and provide the experiences that are needed to prepare this portfolio. It is not easy to learn technology online, and it is not for everyone, but it worked well for me. I would not use trial versions of software to produce products again because I either can't modify them or I've lost them after I created them. I liked being able to personalize my program around the core classes. I was trying to complete the 3 courses for an online teaching core. I also tried to get as much multimedia and different presentation platforms into my program as possible. Camtasia has turned out to be one of my favorite programs. I would like to know more about animation. I would like to learn about Vokies and avatars and creating games. I tried Second Life, but as an upper elementary teacher, it is so inappropriate. I just received a smartboard and clickers, and I would like to learn more about using these 2 devices. I sometimes worry about staying current after I graduate. I count on Diego Group's information to help on this front. I have so many links that I saved that I look forward to having the time to organize and try them out this summer. When I look back over what I had created over the last few years, I was astonished at how much I had done. I mostly focused on science materials because it's my favorite subject and I have such poor resources to teach it. I feel empowered to create what I need as teaching materials when they don't exist, and frequently at no cost other than my own time. I use many Web 2.0 products, and I am just starting to introduce them to my teammates at school. I think one of my strengths is that I came at computers not as a technology geek, but as a teacher looking for tools, and I am always still learning. My students work with me and can often help me puzzle through problems. I work as more of a consultant rather than an expert guru. We passed out clickers the other day for the first time, and one of my students said, "Wow, this is the future, and it is here right now." I want that engagement, knowledge, and excitement for my students, my peers, and myself. She was right. This is the future right now, and that is where I am going.